Warm welcome to today's episode of Video Talks with me, your host, Carl Wadmark, here at Quick Channel in the Quick Channel studio today. Today we have Niklas Hagen here with us. Warm welcome, Niklas. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I feel great today. It's a cold, snowy day in Stockholm.
Yeah. And happy Friday. It's Friday, the day of this recording. And if you're a recurring listener, welcome back. If you're new, happy to have you here with us. Niklas, you're the CEO of Hive Streaming. But before we jump into what is Hive Streaming, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and your background?
Yes, absolutely. I have been working at the intersection between people and technology all my life with a web company called Mogul for many, many years before I started at Hive Streaming. So I've always been interested in digital transformation, how digital technologies will change society in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And what brought you to Hive Streaming? And how long have you been working at Hive Streaming for?
I've been working almost 10 years full-time,
Mm-hmm.
but Hive actually started 10 years before I started working for Hive. And it was one of my old friends that started it as a startup back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me for some help before he even had a single employee on thinking about how to structure the company and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually invited me every Sunday for many weeks and gave me a free breakfast at a hotel. And I was just talking about stuff, and that's how I got to know Hive as a company before it even was started.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Mm-hmm. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself also, like on your spare time? What do you do when you're not CEO of Hive Streaming?
Yes, I'm a person that's interested in many, many things. So I have a plethora of things I do. But first and foremost, I'm a husband and I'm a father to two kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I also play music a lot. I've always played music in my life.
Cool. Do you sing, or what kind of instruments?
No, I sing and play the guitar mainly, and I write songs. So,
cool.
Yeah.
But as a hobby, or do you do that professionally?
Well, when I was younger, it felt more serious. Now it's not. I don't have enough time, but I did play a lot when I was younger and toured a little bit in Europe and stuff.
Cool.
Like that. Yeah.
In like a famous band that
not
we
a
know
famous
of,
band,
or
no.
Underground sort of.
Underground,
yeah?
yes.
Okay, cool. What kind of genre?
Oh, I've done many genres in my life, but I listen a lot to late '60s, early '70s music.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite band then?
Jethro Tull.
They're awesome. I like them a lot. Okay, enough about that. We're going to proceed into the first topic I wanted to talk with you today. A few weeks ago, we met, I think for the first time, or one of the first times, and that was during our big flagship event, Video Summit. We talked about AI a lot and how this affects the organizational strategic communication and alignment. So my first topic is how AI increases the need for alignment. AI is the big elephant in the room. There's no escaping it. It's everywhere and, influencing us in everyday life now. But we often talk about AI as an accelerator, but not enough about the organizational friction it exposes. So in your view, like, how is AI actually increasing the need for internal alignment within large companies, would you say?
Yeah, I think it actually applies to any size company, but it might be even more apparent if the company is really big. So I've been speaking about alignment for many years because I think it's a way for a company to be able to act quickly in times of massive change. If everything is changing around you, you need to be super aligned with what the company is trying to do. And that is changing faster and faster, the faster the world is spinning around. And if you're disaligned, the organization will be too slow. It will be like turning an oil tanker in a narrow strait. It's too slow, and someone with a speedboat can just pass you by and overtake you. So alignment has been important. It's always more and more important the faster everything changes around the company. So what is changing with AI? And as you said, I think alignment becomes, if possible, even more important in the age of AI-powered productivity. Because when everyone is producing more and more, as a single human, I can do more with the power of AI, right? So if I'm clear about where the company is going and aligned with it, I want to help the company do that, then AI will make the company move even faster in that direction. But if I'm uncertain about where the company is going, or if I don't agree with it, or if I'm confused about what it means, then my massive hyper productivity from AI will faster bring the company in the wrong direction. So it's a kind of a multiplier effect, and therefore I think everyone's talking about increasing productivity with AI, but they should talk almost as much about increasing alignment in the organization, because that will be almost as important as the productivity itself.
So you start with alignment and then you move into the productivity aspects and hands-on tactics, or?
Well, yeah, I think if it was that nice that you could just do one thing at a time, I think everything happens at the same time. People start to use AI. And so you just need to get started with thinking about internal communication and alignment very deeply. You have to consider these concepts very, very deeply at the same time as you try to supercharge the organization with AI productivity.
Because my perception is that all executive leaders or management teams are like, okay, we need to apply AI. So they go out and it's a trickle-down effect, and they tell all the teams within organization you have to apply AI in your everyday ops.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yes, and that's pretty much what we hear, and that's why I'm trying to scream as loud as I can that while you are using this, and there's no escape from AI, you need to use it, you also have to consider the alignment of each individual, because they become more and more powerful.
So what kind of strategies do you see that leaders need to adopt to keep teams aligned? What are some things that they can do to create this alignment?
I think when it comes to communication and content creation, and you need to think about the fact that you cannot work for half a year and then present something at one big event. Because things are changing faster than that. So you need to adopt, you need to accept that you cannot be that prepared. You have to live your strategy, and you have to talk about it in a multitude of ways all the time. So it becomes like a flow that's continuous rather than a big launch of a new strategy. You might have to do those too, of course, but that's not enough. You need to continue the day after and clarify and answer and make sure that this communication is really understood in a way that it actually creates alignment. You know, we all know that the message is, it's the receiver of the message that judges if it was good. It's not if the person sending it out, oh, I said it, I'm done. You know, you need to measure and you need to understand whether people understood it and if they became aligned. And you cannot do that if you do one big thing per quarter or something like that. There needs to be a continuous flow.
Do you also see that or if I ask this question, what's the largest misalignment or risk emerging when companies adopt AI in this way? Is it content creation or data sharing or communication workflows? What are some common misalignments, basically?
From using AI as increasing productivity?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess it's such a huge field that you have to try many things. You have to see what works and what doesn't work. AI content creation can be great, but it can also be catastrophic. I mean, and I think I won't talk about that now, because I know there are questions later that will be about that, but the element of authenticity cannot get lost with AI, because we hate when something feels unauthentic. But I mean, it's hard to judge all the aspects of how AI can increase productivity. I think one problem is that many organizations, they use AI and they empower the employees and say, use AI. But I think to really take advantage of AI, you need to build agents into workflows, the core workflows of the company. And maybe if you just start applying AI without really thinking about those workflows and designing them and defining them and questioning them before just applying AI a little bit here and there, then you won't get as much productivity. Yes, everyone can produce more text or more video or more content, but for the real multiplication of productivity will come from when you actually implement agentic AI into your core workflows as a company. And there we know that companies have not started doing that to the extent that it might sound in newspapers. I think it was McKinsey that came out with a report that said that or Microsoft in the Work Trend Index, they say that more than 50% of all large organizations are planning to implement agentic AI into their core workflows within the next year. But McKinsey said in another report that most companies have not even really started doing that yet, just using it on the individual level with chat-based AI.
So it's more like hands-on tactics that sort of maybe early adopters are doing, but the org strategy are sort of lagging. Is that how I interpret?
Exactly. To really get the effect of AI, when you automate something for real, then you can have a 100x increase in productivity. If you just use individual productivity tools, it's great. Maybe you can get 3 times as productive than before, but not more than that.
If we segue into video then, because you work in a video company, so do I, why live video becomes even more important in AI-driven companies? And you've said before that live video becomes more important, not less, in an AI-driven world. Why is that?
Well, I think it has to do with alignment in that sense, because I think that live video is the most powerful way to create deep alignment in an organization. You can create alignment by informing people, sending out messages, emails, dashboards, intranet stuff. But I think humans, if you see someone speak live with an authentic voice, it's a fast track to alignment. But it's harder. It's easier to plan and prepare an email that's perfectly phrased, feels more safe. You can iterate on it before you send it out, and you know it's polished and perfect. That's not going to happen live, even if you have a prepared script. Mistakes can happen, both technically and content-wise, and for the presenter, how they appear. So it's risky, but it's authentic. And I think humans are hardwired to understand other humans, and by looking at them and hearing them and judging for yourself if you believe in something that they're saying. And that's gonna be much more powerful through live video, because it's happening right now. It's not curated in a way that makes you feel like maybe it's fake, maybe it's not authentic.
Kind of answers this question, but what is it about live all hands or town halls, internal meetings basically, that AI cannot replace in your mind?
Yeah, I think we can use AI to help doing better and more events, because that's another thing I would like to say. When people think about town halls, they often think about the CEO or maybe the high-level C-level leadership expressing something, and I think that's important, because you need to see who is at the helm of this company, that they really believe their own strategy and that they can express it in a good way. But it's just a starting point. It needs to ripple down. And I think if you just have one quarterly town hall with the CEO, it can be seen as an inspirational event, but is it truly creating alignment? For that to happen, I think you need to explain it in many different ways from other people, maybe not even managers. It can be a subject matter expert that speaks to a large audience about a topic that they're really, really interested in. And of course, there's a place for pre-recorded videos and educational material when it's that's also really good. But when it comes to creating that alignment where you really feel like, I agree with it, I understand this, and I agree with it, and I think it's the right thing for the company to do. I think to get that feeling, if that's how we define alignment for an individual, I think live video is the absolutely best way to get there.
If we zoom out a little bit, so do you see leaders using live video differently today, let's say compared to 3 years ago? And what has changed in your view?
Yes, we can see statistically on our customer base that people are companies are using video more and more. We have one of our customers, a really big organization, more than 400,000 employees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's quite big.
Yeah, they did a couple of big events per year, 5 to 7 years ago.
Hybrid events or digital events?
Digital live events through us. They probably did other events too, but what we can see in our data are the live events, the video events, digital events. And then we can just track the usage and how many events and how big they are. And we can see a very common thing that happens, or a trajectory we see with companies that start to use video, is that they start with these 4 big events per year, and then as that starts to work and they get the reliability in the video and they have a decent quality, then
maybe workflow also goes more efficiently to produce.
Yes, you see that it increases. The same company that started off with 4 events per year now do more than 15,000 events.
Wow.
And we categorize them in really big ones, mid-sized, and smaller. I mean, we are not tracking normal point-to-point Teams meetings or anything like that. We're just tracking the broadcasting meetings. But so the small ones are below 1,000 or viewers, and the mid-sized are up to 10,000. And then we have the mega events, which are bigger than 10,000 employees. So you can see that they are all becoming more. The big ones, the mid-sized ones, and the smaller ones. And I think that is, and I know this company very well. I can't say who it is, but and I know that they work so actively with creating that alignment, and they have understood that you need to have the big message, you have to have a sub-message, and then you have to have the detailed message, so everyone has the opportunity to truly understand what this means. And I think they can measure this in terms of productivity when they succeed with these events.
Follow-up question there. How do you think they follow up with the audience? Do they do surveys? Do they have focus group for their employees? How they receive the certain message? How they align with the strategy? Do you have any insights how they work with that? Yeah.
We have many different companies and or customers, and some of them are super mature in this, and they do all of that, and also some of the analytics that we provide that can give like statistical signals insights. And see what's going on in insights, but also focus groups and surveys. But we have to be careful about surveys because there is something called death by polling, and after a while they have a poll fatigue kind of thing. So we're trying to help as much as possible by giving insights that are not intrusive when it comes to the employees having to answer a lot of stuff. What can we see without asking them questions? Some things you have to ask.
I want to touch again on AI. So for listeners who produce or manage live video today, such as your customers, what opportunities does AI bring to improve authenticity, for instance, or scale or reach or workflows?
There are, I mean, the live streaming chain of, we call it the webcasting ecosystem. I mean, it's like technical stuff from the lens to the eye, or from the camera lens to the eye. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in between. All of these parts of the webcasting ecosystem can be improved by AI workflows, both in how these physical things are designed and how we can design the workflows of using them, of course. So that's the technical chain that the stream has to pass through. But then, of course, when it comes to planning the events, content creation, it can be both ways. I mean, you could use AI in a way that it becomes slop and it gets less authentic, but used wisely and always remembering how important it is with authenticity, then you can use it in a way to make them more engaging, more interesting, and produce things. But I do think that when it comes to creating alignment, you need to see a real human's face in high resolution. Because I think we are, as I said before, we're hardwired to detect when something is off. And in one sense, I think even 720p, yes, you see it's me, you see it's my face, but there are details lost. And I think those details that form our micro expressions, how we look, how we interact, and how we phrase the words, what happens with our lips when we do that, we might not think about it actively, but I think the older parts of our brain is using that information as a filter to see, should I believe this or not? And I think we can get into the, what is it called, uncanny valley state, when things are almost human, but too smoothened out or something like that. It looks cool. You have an avatar. You don't have to care if you have some lines next to your eyes, you can remove that. I think that's very, very dangerous. I think the opportunity to align is missed.
So we're not ready for AI avatars.
I'm not saying it never can happen, but I do think that AI, I'm one of those optimists that think that even if AI can do things better than humans, we will at the end be more interested in what a human creates than an AI. For example, music. I don't think that I will be interested in going to a concert where everything is played by robots.
Have you listened to AI-produced music, though?
Yes, I have heard it.
What do you think of it?
Well, of course, it can be a perfect imitation of something that a human can do, but the knowledge that it was not created by a human. And I think we want authenticity, and we can use AI for a lot of things, but I do think that the people who dare to go out there with their flaws and with their imperfections will be more believable than a perfection. And so I definitely think AI is going to transform society completely. It will be great. If used right, it will help humanity. But I do think and hope that we will want to see an imperfect human rather than just perfection at the core.
Interesting. So we're going to segue into measurement and how we scale strategic communication, something that you guys in Hive Streaming talks a lot about. So what should organizations actually measure when it comes to internal video communication from your aspect? How do you define something successful as a failure? What are some metrics or KPIs that you guys work with?
That is a great question. There are so many things you have to measure. I can talk about the ones that my company help doing, but there are more than that. So I always ask my customers when I meet them, why do you do live video? And you get a lot of different answers, and all of them are probably correct, because it depends on what your role is in that production of video. But I do think that ultimately producing live video is costly. It's difficult. It can go wrong. Why do you do it? Why don't you just prepare an email that is perfect and then everything is flawless? I think it is because somewhere we know that video is the most powerful way to make change happen. And coming back to what we talked about in the beginning, the reason why alignment is more and more important, and why therefore also live video is more and more important, is that everything is changing so fast around you. So I think companies truly do it, even if not everyone I speak to answer that straight away, is because they want some change to happen in the organization. So if that is why you're running live video, there are so many things you need to measure. First of all, I categorize them in two things, like the technical aspects and then the alignment aspects, basically.
Okay.
So the technical aspects, you need to build an infrastructure that can really deliver reliable, crisp video any time of the day, any part of the year.
Without any hiccups.
No, it has to work perfectly. And it not just being delivered, it has to be very, very high quality. And as I said before, the webcasting ecosystem contains so many parts, and all of them can fail. So we are trying to, and I'm coming from the more video delivery part. Of course, we had a lot of analytics around the part where the video fragments got delivered inside of the corporate network to the end user device. That's just one part of the full webcasting ecosystem. So our vision when it comes to technical analytics is to try and find analytics from all of these different parts of the webcasting ecosystem. So we can provide a dashboard or notifications or webhooks where anything goes wrong in real time, so that you can act upon it because the show must go on, as we say in live.
And who acts on it? Is it the technical producer that needs to act on it, or who gets these signals? The CEO on stage, I imagine not.
Not the technical part, no. But when it comes to the technical things, we have for the bigger events, some are unmanaged. They are self-service events, of course, and then it could be a notification to someone who is in general responsible for all the smaller events. But when it comes to super big events, I think you're going to have it up on a big screen next to other technical tools that you use during the event, and look at like how are all these parts of the webcasting ecosystem performing? Is something about to go wrong for the full event, for the full stream, or for just a region? Maybe it's something to do with the CDN in a region that goes wrong and things like that. And there are tools to monitor these different things. But I do think that in real time, when you're sitting there producing an event, you cannot have a million different systems up. So you need a system which really focuses on the webcasting ecosystem that traverses all of these different parts. So that's the technical part where you need to be in real time, and also post-event, being able to look at trends. This region is more buffering for each event. Something is degenerating here, or things like that. So it's the real-time aspect is super important because you might be able to do something about it before it fails. But it's also important to look at analytics for a long time and see if trends, if metrics are changing over time, which would cause you need to do something about a certain technical aspect or a certain region or the network in a region. But then we have more of the analytics around what leads to alignment. And this is a new field. I think, as you said, you can do surveys and ask, like, did you understand this? Do you agree with it? And things like that. But then you have the death by polling thing. So we also have a mission to try and find statistical analytics that we can understand if the prerequisites for alignment was there. Indication of alignment. We cannot know if someone was aligned. Then we have to ask them and hope that they don't lie in their answer, because they might be like, I have to say I'm aligned.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really hard with a subjective feeling of alignment. So we need to look for indications of alignment. And the first one is actually the result of this technical video stream that comes up. Was it reliable? Was the quality really high? And was the latency not too big, so you can actually have some interactivity features turned on during this webcast? So that's not the content aspect, but if something was really bad, I don't think the prerequisites for generating alignment is there. So that's the first part.
That just has to work.
The technical aspects had to be perfect. But then you need to understand if people paid attention, if they dozed off, or I mean, I really don't think we should never spy on people. This is the responsibility of the people creating the events and creating the content. They need to make it engaging. But we can measure on a statistical level if a certain portion of the video, then people doze off or turned on mute or minimized the window. Not the individual, but like everyone in this country suddenly stopped paying attention to this video. It has to do with something. Was it something technical? No, the technical aspects worked flawlessly. Then maybe it was something about the content or about something else. And then we need to measure also indications of engagement, like did they interact with the video? Did they give likes and hearts and things like that? I don't think you can only look at that. I think many people do. Like, I'm a CEO of a big company, I do this big speech.
Announcement of some sort.
And then you go out. I mean, they are humans as well. They're like, was this good? Did people understand? Did they pay attention? And maybe the only thing you get is someone patting your shoulder saying like, it was great. But I want to know. It's super important that people understood. So looking at attentiveness metrics, looking at other like indications of engagement is really important as well. But you cannot know if they truly understood and agreed with the message. So that's something we are thinking about every day. Is there some kind of indication of that we could measure?
Interesting. So if you were to talk to a leader today that wants to scale their strategic communication globally, let's say they represent a large enterprise that's listening to this podcast, where would they start? What's like the step one? Would that be alignment?
To scale their live video communication?
Yeah.
I think scaling live video communication can lead to a greater alignment. It's a way to achieve alignment. So you cannot start with alignment, because I think the video will be means to alignment. But I mean, you need to start somewhere. Just start daring to do events. We know that some companies don't do live events at all. More and more do, but there are still companies who don't do it. It might be cultural. It might be that because I mean, things leak from the top. So if the CEO is uncomfortable or doesn't think it's worth doing, or it costs too much or something like that, then of course video will not take off. So you need to invest in creating a video first culture, creating that infrastructure that I was talking about, so that it actually works reliably. Because if you do a big event and it totally fails, and we've seen that. In the beginning of when I started at Hive Streaming, many times we got our customers after like a whole video team was fired or network team was fired because a CEO town hall totally broke down. It didn't work. So that's it. You need to invest in making sure that it will always work, because it is error prone and so many things can happen.
Do you see customers or companies that do live streaming and do create that alignment? Are they sort of succeeding more than companies that don't do live streaming for, let's say, large internal town halls and meetings?
It may depend a little bit on what industry you're in, but our customers are doing video, of course. Otherwise, they wouldn't buy Hive.
Right.
So we can see the ones that are more mature in their video strategy, and you look at their results, their yearly results. They are among the companies that do very well in these macroeconomics difficult times. I don't have any like statistical proof, but I do believe that it's kind of, what do you say? It's almost intuitively. I think everyone I speak to, they say like, if you do live video and you dare to do it, and you reach your employees with very high resolution, you get a higher alignment. And every CEO out there, they know that if I don't have an aligned workforce, I will not succeed. So I think it's intuitively correct that if you succeed with video and really realize that it cannot just be those 4 events per year, that's just a starting point. And you need to make more and more of these events. There is something called video fatigue as well. So they cannot be just for the sake of it. But I do think we need to understand that to create alignment, you need to explain things at the highest level, at the middle level, and at the lower level for people to truly have the opportunity to become aligned.
What are some misconceptions then that leaders have about measuring communication effectiveness from your point of view?
Let me think about that.
If there are any.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm coming back to the pat on the shoulder. That's not a measurement. But if that's the way you know if it was good or not, then you're probably not aware. I know one misconception. Sometimes we talk with prospect customers that don't have an ECDN or something that helps with delivery, and they say, no, I don't think we need it because nobody has complained. And in our experience, if it's silent after a live event, it's not always an indication that everything was flawless. It's usually the other way around. People don't pay attention because maybe the quality is so bad that it's like they put it on mute. I must have the stream up because maybe someone's watching if I'm watching this, but I'm not paying attention. But I'm not going to call IT support and say, hey, the video doesn't work well. So I think the misconception is that no complaints means flawless execution.
I guess one thought that I have is that if you're a company that wants to transition into live streaming and live video for internal comms and strategic comms for that matter, there's a big stake and sort of a resource investment that you not only have to do in technical infrastructure, obviously. You need to be able to send the video and stream it, but you also need the executive team or subject matter experts to take time, right, from their day-to-day.
Yeah.
They need to plan scripts. They need to be comfortable in front of the camera. They need to set aside time for maybe do a preparation shooting or a pre-recording, if that's pre-recorded and not live. I guess that's also a huge aspect of it, right? That companies really need to invest time in it. Is that something that you talk to your customers a lot about? Or?
I definitely do. I think I said during the video summit a couple of weeks ago that invest in strategic alignment as seriously as you invest in product development and sales. That's how I see it. Like you need a product, you need something that is great, you need to be able to sell it, and you need alignment. It's on that level. Those are the three main things, especially in the age of AI, and that means you have to invest money and time in it. And to do that with this executive team which starts doing this, they work a lot, and actually removing something to get time for that's a true prioritization that you have to do. And that's why I talk about it like that. It's as important as product development and sales.
That's I concur. I can only agree. So I want to transition into like how the video experience from sending live video in a company, how that affects culture and the direction in how that culture is sort of growing, or so to speak. So from your perspective, how does like video quality, if we start with that sort of angle, like latency and buffering and smoothness, how does that, or do you see that affecting organizational culture in any way?
Yeah, I think it's both ways around. The existing culture affects how you do video and if you do video, and the way you do live video will affect the culture back. So it's kind of a circle. And I believe that to succeed in this fast-paced world, you need alignment, but you also need empowerment. You know, people need to be able to take decisions on their own, fast, without asking for permission. Otherwise, you get stuck in long approval chains, and you will be that oil tanker that cannot change direction quickly. Right. So that is if live video is great to create alignment, it also has to be part of creating a culture of trust and clarity, which I think are the prerequisites for creating empowerment. So people dare to take decisions, even if they may be wrong or take the company slightly wrong way. Because if you don't dare to take any decisions, that's worse. So you need to create this culture of empowerment apart from just the alignment. Because, okay, I know where the company is going and I agree with it, but I also need to take decisions fast without asking for permission. So both of those things are important. I think video is super helpful to see if the company has empowerment as one of their values, you will see if it's true by the authentic message from leadership in those videos.
Is that something that you measure in Hive Streaming? If you compare companies that do send live video and streaming versus companies that don't, in terms of like employee satisfaction, employee satisfaction as in NPS, like whether or not they, are likely to recommend their employer versus a company that does not work with live video. Because that's an aspect about culture, like how happy employees are within a company.
Yeah, and there are more than eNPS. It's like other types of engagement scores. We haven't thought about that. That would be really interesting to look at companies who are running video in what we consider to be a very mature way, where it both is from the top and from the subject matter experts, and see if that has any correlation with eNPS or other types of engagement scores. But we haven't done it.
So how do you see, you touched on this, but actually you can skip that one. How have you seen or what have you seen inside companies where the video experience is frictionless versus where it's unreliable?
Well, I know that because we interact a lot with leaders within video, within networking, and event producer, communications department. If the video is unreliable, you can sense talking to them that this is a very, very big problem. Not just because it's annoying, it's because they know that the message that they are responsible for will not getting through. So and the ones where it really works well, you can see they take chances. They do more videos. They try to build up a self-service so that people can sign up for a big live event, even though there is no producer, because there might not be budget for every single event. So for the ones that have a feeling that this will work, they start innovating around video and start doing more, start doing it in a new way. And I think you asked me also about trends. I think there's a trend moving away from the hyper-produced events that's supposed to look like an 80s TV show with 100 camera angles and stuff like that, and more into the authenticity, like just zooming in on someone saying something with a very high resolution. So sometimes it's nice with a super produced event as well, but I don't think you should only do that. It's better to just dare to be imperfect, because that authenticity that you're delivering is the most important aspect of live video.
Something that I just thought about now was the frame that Erik Modig talked about during at that Video Summit. He's going to be on the podcast in the future also, but I think it's not just about doing live video. It's about like, how do you really pull the audience inside the frame of the player that the audience is watching? I think that sort of struck me so much, that you can't just deliver the message. You have to truly engage and create that that pull effect with the audience. And speaking of that, if we look at the future casting of live video and communication, if we were to sit down in like 3 years from now, what would surprise us about video communication in enterprises, you think?
Well, I think it might be the fact that we have not replaced the most important messages with avatars. Because that's kind of what everyone's talking about right now. But I think that this, the authenticity that comes with the imperfection that I've been talking about is so important that companies who measure and need this to work, they realize that we can use that as interesting gimmicks, but when it really matters, we will not use that for that image.
So we will stay put.
Stay put.
Hopefully. So you're a CEO of a company. So what has leading a company, which you're doing through the age of AI, what has that taught you about communication as a CEO?
It's a great question. The weird thing for me when it comes to Hive Streaming is that the products we are developing are solving, is basically, if you really zoom out and ask the 5 whys of why people would buy those products, it's about the need for transformation. The company needs to be able to change fast enough to adopt AI, to counter competitors that pop up from nowhere that just suddenly does something that your product is doing much cheaper and things like that. So, I mean, companies, they really have to adapt every day. And even though Hive Streaming is a company of 70 people, we are doing exactly the same. We have to adapt to follow what our customers need very quickly. And to do that, we need alignment. When Hive Streaming started, we were an infrastructure company only. We were delivering ones and zeros over the network. We still do that. That is our main product. It's where our claim to fame. But now we are adding products on totally different levels. And to make my own organization accept and understand and agree with that, it's a lot about communication. I often talk to leaders and they say, they complain that there's too little information or too little communication. The only thing I'm doing is communicating. So that can't be right. they're not listening. Or things like that. It's not like that. We are communicating too little, or at least not in the right way, because the message is understood by the receiver, and you need to understand how that receiver can understand that message as a sender. So maybe even if you said it, you have to say it in a new way, in different ways. And it feels like the only thing you're doing is communicating, but you're probably doing it too less or not in the right way. So that is interesting to transform a company or make it ready for the next wave. I have to do that, and I see that this is what our products are doing too. So it's some weird meta circle between what we are giving to 400,000 employee companies and the realization in building these products coming back to me, like, I have to live what I have to practice what I preach.
So we're soon going to wrap up this session, but I wanted to ask you, what should, in your view, communicators that work with live video today, what should they stop doing immediately in the age of AI? If they are seeing things that are slowing them down, or that you're seeing as a bottleneck for folks out there?
Should they stop doing? I think maybe... with the risk of repeating myself, but I think they should dare to do more and not be too perfect, because the information has to come out. So stop curating too much, stop being afraid that it's not going to turn out perfectly. The quality has to be perfect. It cannot be unreliable. But the content is okay. It's a continuous flow of information. So if something didn't come out right, that's okay. It's human. And you do it the next week and you correct yourself. So do more and stop being afraid of not being perfect.
Cool. And last, who should I interview on the Video Talks podcast next?
I was thinking about that question when you sent it last night. And I would actually recommend Hive's founder, who's not working with Hive anymore, but it's a close friend of mine. He's called Andreas Dahlström, and he is building a startup called Talius AI that is using AI in totally novel ways to transform searching and how embeddings work, which is a very technical concept inside of generative AI. He can speak about video because he started Hive, and he can speak about anything, and it's always very, very interesting to talk to him. So that would be my recommendation.
I'll make sure to reach out to Andreas. Thank you so much, Niklas, for speaking with me today, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Video Talks podcast. See you around. Bye-bye.